that HSIADC. We are here to clarify certain points which have been raised in media reports. My request to you is, if there are any questions, kindly ask me only about the facts which we can reply from the records of the government, but not of the opinions. I'll just take 5 minutes and highlight 3 things. Number one, it has been stated today that density in respect of DLF sectors of phase 5 has been increased from 250 to 625. In fact, this has not been increased. This has only been converted from per acre to per hectares. The density which has been shown in the earlier plans, it's a Gazette notified plan of 2025 AD, and prior to that 2021, where in respect of the DLF sectors 42, 43, 53 and 54 of Gurgaon, it was shown as 250 persons per acre. In fact, it was written only 250. But in the zoning regulations, it is mentioned that it is per acre, and in other sectors it was written as 100, that is 100 persons per acre. Now, in the 2031 plan, we have converted all the figures to hectares. And as you know, 1 hectare consists of 2.5 acres. So 250 persons per acre gets converted into 625 persons per hectare. So there is no increase in density. It is existing as it was since 2001, or since when the first plan, the final plan was published in 1996. So I want to say that there has not been any increase in the density of sectors which has been alleged. Second is that release of land meant for setting up a hospital to DLF Limited. I have seen that NDTV, this report, 350 acres of land in Gurgaon meant for hospital has been given. In fact, this is not 350 acres, this is 30 acres. And this 30 acre, I'll just give you a brief background. This land belonged to East India Hotels Limited, and they applied for a change of land use permission in 1984, and this change of land use permission was granted to them on 18 acres on 17th of July 1984. However, they did not complete the project, and meanwhile section 4 notification was issued on 30th of January 1989. Kindly mark the dates. These dates are very important. The acquisition proceedings were started in 1989 in respect of the land which was falling in sector 30 Gurgaon. Now, these acquisition proceedings, the ownership of East India Limited was 37 acres, more than 37 acres in fact, and they filed a writ petition in the Honorable High Court, number of which was 3808 of 1990, where stay disposition was granted by the Honorable High Court. After that, this land was not being utilized, this was lying defunct, and then later on, since this was not being utilized, then they approached the government, and government, for the purpose of establishing hospital, hotel management institute, construction of the executive apartments, they released this land, 30 acres, and this release was done on 19th of September 1995. That is more than 16 years back. This release of land was done on, I am again repeating the date, that is 19th of September 1995. So as well as no release of land has taken place during last 10 years. Now, they were not able to set up the hospital complex. Later on, a request was received in 2005 from this East India Hotels Limited, that they have not been able to utilize this land. Meanwhile, our state officer of Haryana Urban Development Authority, he issued a resumption notice against this company. This was also challenged in the Honorable High Court. And since the court proceedings were there, they applied for permission to sell this land to DLF. Because one of the conditions of release was you cannot release the land without the prior approval of government. Now, this issue was examined by the department and also in consultation with Law Department. Law Department of Haryana is always headed by a person from Superior Judiciary Service of Judicial Service of Haryana. It is not meant by any IAS or PCS officer. It is headed by a member from Superior Judicial Service, and they opined that permission can be granted subject to 3 conditions. That is, East India Hotel Limited withdraws all cases filed by it on the subject matter. Withdrawal should be before and not after grant of permission. Number 2, all the requisite charges are paid before the permission is granted. Number 3, transferee furnishes an undertaking to abide by the regulations / policies and develop the site in accordance with the approved master plan. And this master plan was in place since 1996. This was not the master plan which was prepared by the government in 2005, and accordingly the permission was granted. When the permission was granted, this land was transferred in favor of DLF Limited by East India Hotel Company. So, from the facts, it is clear that no land belonging to the government or Haryana Urban Development Authority was either allotted or released in 2005 in favor of any private individual. This land belonged to East India Hotel Limited only, released more than 16 years back. However, Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court, they quashed this permission to transfer, while their order dated 3rd of February 2011. State of Haryana as well as all the affected parties, they have challenged this in the Honorable Supreme Court, and Honorable Supreme Court has granted stay on this judgment of the Honorable High Court on 20th of June 2011. After seeing all the pleadings which have been taken by us, stay has been granted by the Honorable Supreme Court on the decision of the Honorable High Court which has been quoted today, and therefore the Government of Haryana will not like to comment any further because the matter is sub judice in the Supreme Court. However, it is reiterated that permission was granted after following due process of law and release of land was done more than 16 years back. One allegation that is that the officers of Haryana, they are tilted in favor of DLF Limited. And since the officers are here, we are saying no favor has been granted to DLF. DLF is a reputed developer, number 1 in the country at the moment. There are other developers who are operating in the field, and all the permissions which have been granted by Town and Country Planning Department, that is strictly in accordance with rules. Not even a single license or case has been cited in which it has been alleged that this permission has been granted in violation of rules. Rather, I would like to cite there are many cases, but one case where in respect of charging of internal development charges, Ansal Limited has challenged that in the High Court, and then they won from the Supreme Court. We had to refund approximately 10 crore rupees to Ansal Limited. Now, based on that, DLF also filed its claim. This amount was 594.6 crores. Now, when we refused this claim, they filed a writ petition in the Honorable High Court. It was very easy by the officers and the Government of Haryana, based on the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, to release this amount to DLF Limited. Rather, we amended the Act itself. It is there in the Statement of Objects and Reasons which has been published in the Official Gazette that amendment in the Act is being done to overturn or to take care of the judgment which has been given by the Honorable Supreme Court, and this was notified in the Official Gazette in 2012. This year itself, we changed the law made it retrospective, and we have been able to notify that, with the result that we have been able to save more than 594.6 crore rupees, which could have been easily paid. So that impression that the officers or the government is tilted towards DLF Limited, that is totally wrong. And these are the three instances which I have told. And my friend now, he would like to throw light on one or two issues. And then after that, any questions on facts, please.